Hello, everyone. This is Rajesh Pichaimani, and I'm a solutions architect at Amazon Web Services. I'm joined by Pradeep Sridharan, senior solutions architect from our team. Today, we will be going through how we can monitor the Bedrock batch inference jobs to help enable in the downstream processing of the applications. We'll start with a quick overview, followed by a demo walkthrough of this particular use case, and finally conclude with the references. In addition to the core service here in this use case, Bedrock, we'll be using Amazon EventBridge. Amazon EventBridge is a serverless service that abstracts the producers from the consumers in a typical event-driven architecture. Producers are those applications or services that emits certain type of events, and consumers are similar services or applications that consume the events to enable the next set of workflows. Let me walk through with a simple example and then tie back with this use case. There'll be several compute instances in a production environment running a certain application. We don't want the application to go down, right? So we create a rule that matches with the pattern telling that the instances should not be in the stop state. We create this rule in the event bridge that matches with this particular pattern. And so when the consumers can be multiple consumers, it can be a notification that enables this notification to a different set of teams or a remediations workflow that remediates this particular action, right? So that's what one of the primary capability of the event bridges. Coming back to this particular use case, Bedrock is currently a source or a producer of the events, specifically the batch inference jobs. We are matching and monitoring the batch inference jobs events. And in this walkthrough, we'll show how these events can be persisted in S3. Now, Pradeep will walk through with this scenario in the console. Over to you, Pradeep.
Now, there are enough information here, but if you can see that, you can click on this example link to get through some of the details quick. Now, Amazon EventBridge is a service that you can use to monitor many of AWS services in near real time. Let me come back to this page, but let's open EventBridge first. It's a serverless service for building event applications. There's a few concepts like buses and rules. Essentially, you can have EventBridge listen to events and route it based on rule sets. Right, let's go and create a rule. Now, what you want to do is let's create a rule called batch inference state rule, and we would like to kind of match it with an event pattern. The way EventBridge works is it'll actually look for events occurring and match it with a pattern. You can go ahead and try and create a pattern here, but this page already contained the pattern that we wanted to use. So I'm just going to use it. So what this pattern says is that if you see any event occurring that has a source of Amazon Bedrock, a detailed type of batch inference job state change, and a detailed status as completed, trigger this, right? And once you have the rule set that identifies the event, you also want to set up a target type. And here I'm going to use Amazon SQS as a target type, even though you can use many other targets, including Lambda. I'm going to use this particular queue, and the role is created. Now let's look at how we can configure the Bedrock batch inference. Before we go and configure Bedrock batch inference, we have to set up the S3 folders for the batch inference. So here I have already set up the batch inference folder. So essentially you need an input folder and an output folder. Now the input folder will contain the batch inference job submissions. The job should be submitted as a JSON-L file, which is essentially uh, lines of JSON records. I can show you an example file here that we're going to use today. So each line is a JSON document that contains all the information need to execute that particular request. And you can have a number of these files, and I think a minimum number is 100, but the maximum number is, you can have many more of those. Now, once you have this JSON-L file here, you can go and start creating the batch inference jobs. Let's create a job. Let's call it I'm going to use Light. You can configure that particular bucket that we created. I will go ahead and create a new service for this. And you can see the permission details of what this means. Create batch inference jobs. So you have to be on this page till this job is created, otherwise the job will not get created. So once the job is created, it will automatically submit the job. And we can see that and the job takes a while to run. But as it runs, as it goes through the process of validating and submitting this job, it will go ahead and run the model invocation in the backend and produce the results. The results come in, the results will come into the output folder, and it will create two files: a JSON-L.out file that will have the inference results, and a manifest file that will contain a summary of the inference, including how many lines were executed, how many successes, how many failures, so on and so forth. This typically takes a few minutes. All right, we are back, and now we can see that the job is completed. We can get into the job to kind of look at some details. The job duration is 8 minutes. It's completed. Now, what we can do is we can go into the queues and look at if we have received a job completion message, and we can see that we have received a job completion message. Let's go ahead and see what we have received. The way to do that is to do send receive message and poll for it. So this message, we can view it. So if you can see that actually this is a batch inference job change output, and we can also see that the job ID here. Now this job ID, we can use it for further processing. For example, if you want to have like a Lambda service, pick up these files and process it, you can use this and just look into the output folder, you can see that this ID matches this particular output folder, and then you can get into the folder and get access to the JSON l.out file and do further processing. All right, this concludes the video walkthrough section, and I'll hand it back to Rajesh. Over to you, Rajesh.
Thank you, Pradeep. Here are the three references that we would like to share with you. The first one is the Bedrock Inference Jobs Monitor. This is a scenario that we just walked through with the example. And these are the QR codes. The second one is the Bedrock User Guide. And finally, we talked about another service, Amazon EventBridge. So the user guide for that QR code is also listed here. Thank you very much for your time and happy building in AWS. Thanks a lot.